Going home.
Huh?
Say going home.
Well, we're at Airbnb right now, and that goddamn water pump went out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and my wife don't like that. I said, man, we got a swimming pool. Jump in the pool.
Not a bad spot where you are.
What about the toilet? Well, we got a 5-gallon bucket. We'll clean it out the pool and put it in the back of the toilet, man. How hard is that?
Come on. Well, what's got on?
Huh? Oh, he's got to order it apart. You know how pumps go. Is everybody? You rolling? All right, listen up. We're going to go ahead and get cracking because don't take that too literally. But the sooner we get started, sooner, we can go home to our families. How y'all been, man? Everything good? Y'all thinning out a little bit, I see. What are you doing to them girls? Oh, that's good. Good. I got you. How's the job hunt? Good. Nice, man. I love Wawa. Y'all miss Wawa, don't you? Y'all get to go during the day, though, don't you? Yeah, man. Don't talk too much about that. He sponsored one of our events, so I figured I could praise the sponsor sometime. Yeah. Well, hey, look, welcome. We're going to go and get started. I'm sorry you don't look too happy. You got up early this morning, right? Huh? Oh, yeah. As you know, we are so grateful to be able to come up in here and carry all that hope shot. That means a lot to us, means a lot to the people that see it. But more important, remember, we put these on those tablets and they go to 50 different states if they got tablets in these facilities. And y'all may not realize it, but one of the tablet companies that we upload the info for takes about 4 hours of staff time to do that. That's kind of pricey when we're really busy over there. So we're doing all we can to, keep this thing going and keep it flowing. But it wouldn't be possible without the cooperation of course, the sheriff and the staff. And, I've been doing this a long time. Most of y'all know my history. For those that don't, I've been going into jails and prisons since 1982. And I know the challenges that creates for jails and prisons and staff. And, it takes a real team effort to make these meetings happen. And we do our best, of course, to bring you in the widest variety of hope dealers we can. And I love it because I'm always fired up when I hear these guys and girls that come in here. So, and you guys and ladies, y'all do a great job participating and staying focused. And if you think back when we first started, the focus and participation level and what we got now, this is real. And it's real important. And we're real excited and real happy. And I know you guys are too. I know it ain't easy being up in here. I know it ain't easy doing your time and trying to stay focused and learn all you can. But, you never know where you get your hope shot from. It's kind of like, I like to remind folks, you stay in that mental position and focus to catch the hit, you'll get one. And I'm just so excited. You know what I mean? Me and my wife, we sold our house, but our new house isn't going to be ready till September. So we're living in an Airbnb right now. Me, my wife, and 2 dogs that don't like being in the cage. Good news is we do have a pool, so I get to go swimming now for the next 4 weeks. And I'm very decompressed now because I really don't have anything to do until the new house gets ready. And then we go get our 5 16-foot pods out of storage, and then I really got to get to work. So I'm not going to take up a bunch of your time other than to remind you, recovery is better than addiction. Freedom is better than incarceration. And what I learned in 1982 is all I had to do was change a little bit about my thinking and the people I hung out with and the patterns I had created, adapt some new ones, and then the whole world opened up. And I look back, I reflect. I don't regret staying clean and being an old time. I just don't regret it. And that's most of the old timer story, and you'll hear that from Greg and our guest speaker. I'm excited about the speaker because I don't think I've heard you before. As old as we both are, that's kind of surprising, And if Marshall, I guess he'll come, and if he does, he'll jump up in here and give you all some quality intel. So without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Greg, and he'll keep the show going.
Hi, buddy. I'm Greg, still an alcoholic and addict. Glad to be here tonight. It's always good to be here. I only live about 10 minutes away, so it's not that long of a drive, and I'm always excited to get here. I was asked to speak a couple of Wednesday nights ago over on Forest Hill Avenue at a meeting. My phone rang, didn't recognize the number. It was one of the guys who carries the meeting, and he asked me, he said his sponsor had heard my story before, and he said, get him over here and share his story. So I go over there, about 90 people. You never know who, and I didn't know anybody. I ended up knowing one person. But when he asked me, I said, yeah, I'll be more than glad to. What time, where I need to be. And I thanked him at the end of it. And when I saw him and he introduced me, he said, this guy's the first person to ever thank me for asking him to speak. And the reason I thank people is because, first of all, it's an honor when somebody asks me that they think enough of my story or think enough of me as an AA member or recovery person to share the story. And it's never easy. It's emotional. I got to rehash a lot of the pain, a lot of the hurt. And some of you people have heard my story. It's not easy. You know, crying and talking and all that stuff and all. But what's so powerful with recovery is we talk about connection. We always talk about it was us against the world. We felt so alone. I felt so alone. I felt it was me against the world. I felt less than. I felt like I never belonged. And I paid a tremendous price for that. I did a lot of things to get attention. I did a lot of alcohol and drugs so I would feel a part of and feel better about myself. And I hated myself. I hated my life. And then I found out there's a new life. But all these people came up after my story and they said, thank you so much because you told my story. And they had tears in their eyes and I had tears in my eyes and so forth. That's what it's about. Is the therapeutic value of one alcoholic or another addict helping each other through our pain. And I tell you, it's a beautiful thing. I love what I've learned is service work. I love doing service work. And I found that that's my purpose in life today, is serving others through the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, whatever it is. But anyway, I hang around with the winners in the program. I hang around with the people that are on the same path that I'm on. I met Kevin a few years back when I came back into AA, and I saw him. I like the way he carries himself. I like the way he spoke and when he shares and so forth. He's got a long history of recovery, and I've never heard his story, and I look forward to it tonight, so we'll bring Kevin on up. Give a hand for Kevin. Let me get that chair. I got your chair for you.
Thank you, Greg. Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm an alcoholic. And I've been sober since December of 1975. And thank you, for the grace of God. And like Greg said, it's really an honor to be here tonight to speak to you fellas and ladies. I think that somebody wants to hear what I have to say about my story is really, it's a real honor. So I grew up in New York, and my family was pretty solid. It was a pretty comfortable family. One of the things that happened to me that was a real significant thing in my life was that my father had a heart attack when he was 36 years old. And I was pretty young to have a heart attack. And the way things went, my mother kind of used that as a mechanism to discipline us. You know, be a good boy so daddy doesn't die. That was the whole thing. That was the whole theme. And so I always grew up a little nervous. I was always worried that something was going to happen to my father, and that would have been I don't know how we would have handled that. So anyhow, as a kid growing up, I played a lot of basketball. I played in high school. I played in college. And when I was 16 years old, I guess, maybe 15, 16 years old, I was playing with some guys who were older than I was because they were, I had the ability to keep up with them and everything. And after they got done playing, they'd always say, come on, let's go out and have a couple of beers. And I remember the first time that happened to me, I went out for a couple of beers. But I said, look, I'm not old enough. I can't. You had to be 18 to drink in New York at the time. And I said, look, I can't do that. And they said, oh, you can. Don't worry, you're with us. And I remember going into this place called the Tap Room. And I can see it as clear as day. The bartender came over to me. He was a big, tall guy, red hair, flat top. His name was Bob Kelly. I had red hair at the time. And he said, what'll it be, Red? And I said, I'll have a beer. And I had my $2 up on the bar. Those little beers were like 15 cents a pop in those days. And I'd have a beer. And I had 2 or 3 of them. And at the end of that third little beer, I wasn't worried about Daddy dying anymore. It was like everything, the world opened up. And I said, oh my God, this is the answer to my problems. And that was the beginning. And so I was 16. By the time I was 7, I graduated from high school when I was 17. And by that time, I was blacking out twice a week. After the season was over, all the guys on the football team and the basketball team would get together, and we'd go to this bar up in the Bronx, the Web, and we'd, drink after school, and that's how I got started. And in the beginning, it was all a good time. There was nothing but fun and laughter, and just a bunch of young guys having fun. When I got to college, though, it began to rear its ugly head a little bit, and then I was starting to get into trouble. And one of the things that happened is every time that I was in trouble, I drank. I didn't. If I wasn't drinking, I wasn't in trouble. But if I was drinking, I was probably going to be in some kind of trouble. And that's the way things ended up for me. I ended up losing a scholarship and all kinds of stuff. So I got it out of school, and I went home, and I had a situation where my parents were very controlling, and they were telling me that, they had definite plans for what I should be doing with my life. And I was not in really agreement with them. And so, as it turns out, through a whole series of events, I ended up getting married. And that turned out to be that was a disaster. That was a freaking disaster. I ended up, I was married for about 9 years, and had a son, and then I got divorced, and by this time, the drinking was totally out of control. I mean, I was working in New York, I was drinking every night, and at that point in time, I was 24 years old, and people were beginning to tell me that I had a drinking problem, and that you should go to AA. You got a drinking problem. And I'd say, no, I don't have there's no problem here. And they'd say, well, we think there is. And so I'd go to AA to get the heat off. I'd go to some meetings and I'd listen to what they had to say, and I had no identification with anybody. One of the first things I remember at a meeting was they told me that if you, when you start drinking, you can't stop. It becomes uncontrollable. I remember, so I went to that first meeting and I heard that, and I said, well, I'm going to go out and have 2 beers, get on a train and go home. And that's what I did. I said, see, I don't have this uncontrollable drinking these people are talking about. I'm fine. And that was my first experience with AA. But a guy took me to that meeting, and before the meeting, we were talking, and he said, look, if you're an alcoholic, this is probably what's going to happen. You're going to have financial problems, you're going to have medical problems, you're going to have work problems, you're going to have family problems, you're going to have everything. You're going to have problems all over the place. And he said, and probably, you could end up dead, you could end up with a wet brain, you could end up institutionalized. He said, nothing good is going to come out of your life if you are an alcoholic and you continue to drink. And I said to myself, who is this guy talking to? I mean, why is he telling me this stuff? Because I don't have any of these problems. So when they talk about denial, I had denial in spades. I just couldn't. I just couldn't accept the fact that I was an alcoholic. So during the course of the next 7 years, between the time I was 24 and the time I was 31, I had all of those problems. I ended up bleeding internally. I'd wake up in the morning, there'd be blood on my underwear from I guess my liver was bleeding. I was separated, about to get divorced. I was about to get fired. There was nothing good going on. And this guy was right. He said, the things that were going to happen to me were happening. And I still, occasionally I would say to myself, I got to stop drinking. This stuff is killing me. And I'd go to AA for 2 weeks, maybe. At the end of the 2 weeks, I'd begin to feel pretty good again. And I said, I really don't think I got this problem. I mean, I feel pretty good now. I never made the connection between feeling good and stopping drinking. So I just, I'd go back out and start drinking, and I end up in the same mess. I went through, it took me 7 years to figure that out. But what finally happened was, it was around Christmas time, and I was working in New York, living in New York, and I went out with a bunch of guys from work for lunch. We decided we were going to have a couple of drinks, and that turned out to be a 5-day bender for me. And I ended up in a detox unit on December 23rd, 1975. And that's when I had my last drink. So I'm in this detox unit, and I'm feeling really bad about stuff, and but I still am denying the fact that I'm an alcoholic. And this is like, this isn't going to fly. And the only reason I stopped drinking at that time was because I was afraid of what would happen if I drank again. I got into a lot of trouble in those 5 days that I drank. But I got out of, so I spent Christmas in a detox unit on 75, and that was really, I'd say that was probably the low point of my life. It was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, but it was the low point of my life. So I started going to AA because I didn't know what else to do. and eventually it took. I was able to stop drinking, and I got and I've been sober since then. I got really involved in AA. I ended up moving down to Dallas, and I did a lot of AA work down there. I used to go into the prison down there. There was a federal. I don't know if it was a federal. I don't know. It wasn't a federal. It was a maximum security place. It was right across from the Books Depository, and I'd go in there and bring meetings, and I really enjoyed it. I got to know a lot of the guys, sort of like when I see Greg and John talking to you guys, like Cowboy and this fellow here. They all know each other, and hey, we're buddies. You know, it's kind of like it was kind of the way it was. You begin to develop a friendship with these guys, and I can remember there was one guy there who was. He'd just gotten out of solitary confinement. He'd gotten into a fight with one of the prison guards, and he was saying when he was in the hole, as he called it, when I was in the hole, he said I started thinking about my 3 boys, and he said I hadn't seen them in, I think he said like 12 years. His wife divorced him, and she wouldn't let the kids see him, and he started crying, and it was like. It was something I remember to this day about just how important it is to reach out to these people. It does me the world of good to sit here and look at you folks and say, hey, you know what? These guys may think I'm a jerk. They have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. Maybe someone's getting something out of it. I don't know. But I say it's good for me, and hopefully it's good for you. I ended up moving back east. I moved back to. I came back to Virginia, and I've been here since 1995 now. I was living down in the Northern Neck for a while, and then I moved up to Richmond full time in 2005, I guess it was. So one of the things I do now is I attend the meetings regularly. I go to 3 AA meetings a week. I work with people. I work with all the fellows I come in contact with. I always try and help someone if I can. And AA is a very, very big part of my life today. Because everything that I have today, I have to say that I can attribute it to the fact that I'm sober and that I'm involved in AA. You know, I don't know where you guys are as far as, you know, what you go through in here as far as AA goes, or if there's any formalized programs or anything. But to me, the steps of the program. You know, you can go to meetings, you can do this, you can do that. That's all good. But the steps are the way you get sober and stay sober. And my experience has been like I've been around. This December will be 49 years. So in that amount of time in AA, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of pretty faces come and go, and usually the ones who go are the ones who have not done the steps. So it depends, you know, it depends on how you want to handle it. I would recommend anyone who's thinking about doing them, just stay with it. Just do the steps, and those are the steps to sobriety. That's what that is. So I don't know what else I could share with you. That's pretty much my story. Is not overly dramatic. I've never been in jail. I've never done any drugs. My deal was strictly alcohol. Strictly alcohol. And women. That was another big part. That was a big part of the problem right there. Yeah, I tell you, man, there's nothing like having some nice little sweetie to drink with. If you're gonna be drinking, you gotta have some fun, right? That's right, babe. And let me ask you this: does anybody have any questions? Anybody have anything? Anybody have anything they? I'm 79. 79. I'll be 80 in December.
Were you a Cowboys fan?
I was a Giant fan.
You said Dallas.
Well, I lived in Dallas. I mean, I tell you, down there, they love those Cowboys. I remember they won the Super Bowl, and the Dallas Morning News had the headlines. But how about them Cowboys? You know, they love their Cowboys down there. Do I have a girlfriend now? No. I've given up on the women. It's kind of like I've learned my lesson. And I learned the hard way, baby. Let me tell you, there's nothing like a little heartache to straighten you out. What else we got? Anything? Hi, how you doing? What's your name? No, the fellow right behind you. Darren, how you doing, Darren? You doing good? Good. How about you? You got something you're dying to say? You're giving up on guys already, or what? Okay.
Where's your home group?
My home group is the 7:30. It's out at Wellborn Church out on Patterson Avenue. Yeah, the Eye Opener group. That's where I go. I go there every Saturday morning, 7:30. I go to Monday nights. I go to St. Stephen's, and I go to. I guess that's at the Epiphany at the end of the monument. I'll go there, not regularly, but I'll go there occasionally, depending. I don't have a regular schedule. The regular schedule I have is Monday night and Saturday morning, and then I'll go one or two other nights or afternoons during the week, something like that. How you doing? You doing good? I heard you say you're getting out early. Good for you. Good behavior, is that it? No?
New laws.
No, they had enough for you. To get him out of here. Yeah, okay. What else we?
Let's give a nice round.
Okay. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you.
Let's give Kevin a round of applause. My man Marshall just walked in. 1985, I met this man. Love this man. Come on up here, Marshall.
Thank you for sharing, Kevin. Man, 1975. Yeah. Well, no. That was the year I was on my way to the penitentiary. You know what I'm saying? But I love his story. Same thing. I came out of high school when I was 17 years old. Thought I was smart, you know. But yeah, I was a little late getting here tonight. I apologize. But what I wanted to talk about, man, was having choices, you know. And over the the last week or so, something that Kevin said, you know, that came up in conversation. You know, he was saying a guy was trying to tell him or was telling him, the guy was dropping some nuggets on him. You know, if you're an alcoholic, this gonna happen, that gonna happen, this gonna happen. You know, and for me, thinking about, man, how hard and how difficult it is, you know, peer recovery specialists, you know, for me to try to convince you to live another way. You know, I don't know. Some say that we need to have some kind of spiritual awakening long before we get here. You know, and usually that happens, man. I mean, it ain't a good event, something bad, you know. Like he say, you lose your job, you lose your wife, and you lost your family, you know. That's the kind of stuff that make you think. Getting a new car, getting a new job, that don't make you think, you know. It makes you go back to where you were in the beginning. Like, I'm doing this on my own. I don't need no program. You know, I got my own resources, using my own time and effort and all that. A lot of people have failed because of that. And he mentioned about asking for help. You know, if nothing else, when we come here, man, when we come here, that's our message, man. You know, all the time, man. Break through that barrier, man, so you can ask for some help. Break through that, you know, get with somebody so that you can ask for some help. Because I'm telling you, that's the easier, softer way, you know, about having a choice. I know today, man, that life is a good way to live life and it's a bad way to live life. You know, what is it that you choose? You know, man, I choose the good way. You know, everybody be looking at me. Me and John talked about this the other day. Man, what is it that satisfies you in life? You know, recovery. At this point, recovery satisfies me. Because if it wasn't for recovery, all that other shit would be temporary. You know what I'm saying? It would be temporary. But you know, man, I wouldn't miss seeing y'all for nothing in the world. You know, my hope is to see you on the other side one day. You know, trying to build a life for yourself. You know, and it's difficult, but you got help. Man. You got help. You know, that's what we here for. That's what Max Shan is here for. That's what John is here for. That's what Greg is here for. Kevin as well. Steve, you know, we here to help you. If I can't help you, I certainly can point you in the right direction because I can identify with you. You know, thought I had something in my pocket. But anyway, glad y'all here, man, and keep this thing afloat, man. Keep this thing afloat, you know. Let me bring you up, John. Come on, John.
Round robin, keep giving, baby.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
cool. We play golf Thursday.
Yeah, rain.
Me and Marshall, you should have seen us out on a golf course the other day. I tell you, Marshall, they ain't gonna know what I'm getting ready to tell them though. But y'all know anything at all about golf? Anybody? You know, they got a thing called a birdie. A birdie's like one under par, which is very rare for guys like me and Marshall. We don't ever make them. But I mean, every now and then Marshall get one in there. But we were playing. These guys that we play with, they always hustle you. You know, there's always got to be a hustle going on. Like Jim will make 2, 3, 4 birdies around. I never make them. You play for $1 a birdie, so it's almost like I got to give up $3, $4 before we hit the first ball. And the other day I said, you know, at least you ought to pay like 2 for 1. Like if I make one, I get $2. You know, which it's a safe bet because I probably ain't gonna make one. And well, I started at 3 for 1, $3, but they felt so bad they agreed on $2. But we played the other day. I made 2 birdies. Jimmy only made 1. He had to pay me. I got $3 back on that 5 we lost the other day. But you know, I was thinking about a word called worry. You know, a lot of us worry. You know, we worry about a job. We worry what we're going to do. And I was listening to Kevin talk, and I'm thinking, You know, way back when, I bet you worried a lot. You know, I mean, I just human nature, we do worry. And we go through life. Kevin has just gone through 49 years of recovery. And along the way, along the journey, there had to have been lots of worry, you know. But here he is at the age you're at now, coming up on 50 years sober. I'm sure you still worry a little bit, but I'm wondering, thinking back, you know, how much of that worry was for nothing? You know, how much of the worry really is important? And I saw something on Facebook about 80% of the worries never materialize, so stop worrying. And there's a little truth to that. The truth is this. Basically, we live in America, okay? It's hard to find somebody that really goes hungry and homeless unless you're mentally ill or an addict and you got major problems, okay? You can take a lot of that off the table simply by not using and showing up. And I mean, we're so blessed to have these opportunities, but we got a thing called a brain. And I remember in treatment in 1982, I was thinking when I read the steps and I heard a few people share, and I was starting to get the gist of this thing. I got to thinking, you know, my biggest enemy is my brain, my thinking. If only I could like cut my head off, I think I can do this. But we can't live without our brain, okay? We can't live without that. And one of the challenges I had as a new person, my brain was contaminated. You know, all my thinking was centered around getting high and finding ways and means to get more. And I had that pattern going for so long, it's just hard to stop overnight. It's kind of like smoking cigarettes, you know, it's kind of tough to stop that shit overnight. But what I think saved my butt was my people, places, and things. I made it a point to hang out with recovering people, to actually chase the recovering people in the meetings like I might chase my get high or my drugs. And, you know, a day at a time, it added up. You know, you get the hang of things. And, you know, I remember, I guess I was probably about 3 years clean when I realized, looking back, you know, the first few years was the hardest to me. But I hit what I called my recovery orbit. If you stop and think about it, I share about this a lot. You know, how high can you really get on any substance? Think about that. You know, let's say you're an alcoholic. You ain't gonna get but so high. At some point, you're gonna cross the line. Next thing you know, you're in a blackout doing stupid shit. You're pissing on yourself. You're puking. You feel miserable. You know, you missed the point of getting high. You went too far. You know, we addicts, we always go too far. And if you're an opiate addict, I mean, now I know that state that the opiate addicts get in where you're like drooling on yourself, you know. I mean, you might feel like that's a good one. Ain't very attractive people watching that. But the bad news is if you do too much, you die. I mean, I wouldn't call that getting high, I'd call that getting dead. And then, you know, you look at the stimulants. How high can you really get on crack? You know, you smoke that first one, you ain't never getting that high again. You know that. You'll chase it the rest of your career. And yeah, you can get so high that you catch yourself crawling around on the carpet looking for a little piece, or you're hiding in a closet trying to avoid them helicopters that ain't there. They're coming after you. I wouldn't call that high. And then the meth addicts, you can do meth a lot. You can get so high that you grind your teeth down to stumps. Come on, man, we ain't getting high no more. And I don't want to leave you cannabis people out of the mix. You know, that good old weed, you smoke enough of that, you get so high, you're driving 15 miles an hour down the interstate trying to catch that McDonald's drive-through before they close. That's no way to live. But here's what I discovered in recovery. We got what we call a recovery high. And that recovery high is real. And it's better than the drug get high. But the problem is it takes a minute to get there. And that's back to that 3-year mark I spoke about. At 3 years clean, I realized I'm loving life clean and sober. I'm loving this journey. And I'm doing it. I'm cutting the mustard. I'm making it. Paying all my bills, saving money. Family loves me. Man, this thing is working. And no matter what drug you do, you ain't gonna get but so high. But in recovery, you get that recovery high going, which is greater than the drug get high. And that recovery high is progressive. It gets better. Okay? Not like that drug high. So once you find that, once you find your recovery orbit, once you hit your stride in recovery, man, I've seen people knock down 20, 30, 40, 50 years in recovery. You know, they live their life the way they were intended to live it. You know, not all messed up, ruining yourself. So think about that tonight when you hit the rack. Think about that recovery high. That's where I want to go. That's what I want to get. That's what I want to hit. Kevin, I was 23 when I got clean and sober. I was in the Marine Corps in between my second and third deployment. I was a wild son of a bitch, right? I was captured, made to go to rehab. The colonel said, boy, he said, Marine, you're either going to go to the brig or you're going to go to rehab. And two things about the brig I was certain of. Food sucked and the women were fake. So I went to rehab. And I've never been PC, man. I ain't going to start today. And I didn't want to go. I didn't volunteer really to go. I knew my freedom was at risk. And if there's one thing I liked was the freedom. Something about picking and choosing what you eat motivates me, okay? And I was born a lesbian, so I certainly wouldn't like the sexual activities in an incarcerated. I know some of you guys like that shit. That wasn't my thing. And I ain't knocking it. Don't get me wrong. You know, I'm just saying I like the freedom to choose. And, you know, I can remember I got clean BC before crack. Back then, I'd been arrested 12 times, 4 times in foreign countries. But it was always catch and release. You know, nowadays you get locked up, you're a customer for life, man. How the hell you get out of this shit? Well, how many of y'all like the criminal justice system? Seriously. No. But Kevin said something important too. The worst part of his life turned out to be the best thing that happened to him. Greg talks about that. Marshall talks about that. You guys are going through a very traumatic period in your life, being in the situation you're in. But I bet if you stick with it, 5 years from now, you'll look back, you'll be able to say that was the best thing ever happened to me. If you don't stick with it, you'll look back if you're still alive and say, oh shit, here we go again. You don't want to live your life like that. Here we go again. You know, I think you owe it to yourself. One time, try this thing. And you're doing it. Everybody here, I know you're doing it right now. I'm just giving you a heads up. You know, this is a day at a time thing, and you're going to get some challenges coming up. But remember, challenges are best dealt with in recovery than they are in active addiction. That makes sense? Anyways, I appreciate y'all coming up in here, paying attention, letting us come up in here and share this good stuff with you. Dave, you got anything you want to add to this? Come on up here. I ain't giving you a choice. It's peg leg, Dave. Now, I'll tell you one thing. You get out, you go by McShin, check out our memorial garden. That's the best looking memorial garden probably in the country. Every day it seems like this summer, I roll up in there, he's out in there getting them flowers straight, keeping that garden looking good. Give Dave a hand, man.
I'm Dave, I'm an addict. And I said, a few people said, I got the same jumpsuit from Henrico County gift shop. I got the same one. I know how it is. You know, my story is no different. I didn't get arrested until I was 54 years old. And I couldn't stay. It took me 5 years to get. I could have stayed clean for 3 months. I could have been off the paper. It took me 5 years to do that. This time in recovery, and I'm no stranger to recovery. I had almost 20 years and I relapsed. I've been on a 12-year bender. I got 7 months coming up again. You know, and I'm doing things different this time. I'm getting involved with service work. I didn't expect to be talking tonight, but you know, I'm getting involved with service work in many different ways. But you know, you got to ask yourself, have you had enough? You know, if you hadn't had enough, then the misery will be refunded with interest. I can tell you that. You know, if you hadn't had enough, if you had enough, get into a program, whether it be AA or NA or there's other different avenues to take, pathways. I personally go to NA because I like narcotics. You know, I picked it up for the first time in '75, and that's when Kevin was sharing. I was like, you know, yeah. You know, and I remember that first hit I took, and I said, man, I like this. And by 14, I was arrested for distribution. You know, but that didn't stop me. Like I said, you know, I just made bad choices along the way. At 18, I got a DUI. You know, I'm not even a drinker. I mean, I'm you know, I'm a drug addict. And the DOC thing, you know, I don't know where it came from, but mine is not enough and more. You know, I come to the conclusion today that I can't use safely, and I can't quit when I want to. And if I pick it up, I'm off to the races. You know, it's, you know, you got to ask yourself, have you had enough, really? You know, it took me a long time. I mean, the judge won't tell me my clean date. My clean date's December 9th of last year. You know, and I try to start off my day. I get when I get out of bed, I hit my knees and I ask my higher power to give me another day clean from drugs and cigarettes, because I quit smoking about 3 months ago. I've been smoking since I was 11 years old. You know, and that's, you know, it's hard to do. I mean, you know, but I couldn't breathe for one thing. I went to the hospital and, you know, and all this shit came up. But anyway, you know, it was a weird thing, because I went to the hospital and this little lady, I could tell she was old, but she called me from Bond Secure, and she's like doing a follow-up thing, questionnaire thing. And she said, I see you got two addresses. I said, well, I got property in the East End I get my mail to, and I'm with McShin Foundation. She said, what is that? I said, it's a place for drugs and alcohol. And she said, well, I can see you're 60 years old. Are you alcoholic? I said, no, ma'am, I'm a drug addict. So she paused, and she said, do you do the hard drugs? I said, I do the soft ones too. And she didn't get it. I mean, she's like, okay, next question. I love when people laugh, man. It makes me feel so good, because, you know, when's the last time you laughed in the crack house or jail? You know, there ain't too many times I laughed in jail, I'll tell you that. And when you get out and everything, and you feel like getting high, talk to somebody, because it's a whole lot better being on the outside thinking about getting high than it is being on the inside thinking about getting clean. You know, so a lot of times, you know, I went to jail, and they told me, a friend of mine, the last time I went to jail, he says, you can have a hell of a story if you ever get clean and your DOC don't get you. And I said, what is that? I said, they're not going to pick me up. I get out in another month. And I had no idea what DOC meant. He said, your drug of choice. I was like, I don't have one. I like everything, you know. But, you know, I don't do anything, like I said, anything that's going to move the mind, alter my, you know, they got weed houses now. Well, my lungs can't separate crack from weed. You know, once I take that first hit, I'm on the road, whatever it is. I heard somebody share one time, and I identified it real good, that, you know, every time you hit that pipe, inhale that smoke and exhale your spirit. You know, because that's the first thing that goes to me. I mean, my disconnection with God, and I call God a group of druggies. You know, because I know He's here. You know, I know everybody has a chance today. Anybody that's vertical and breathing. You know, I've seen people. I got my leg cut off due to cocaine. You know, on the back of it, I got a hammer, and I got people's names. It says their last one was their last one. Cowboy was one of them. He was doing time in East and came back home 3 weeks later, he was dead. You know, I've seen a lot of people die. You know, there's a girl in here that I used to use with. She's Brady. She's real special. And like I said, if I hang around crazy people, I'm gonna get crazy results. I think about that with Brandy, because, I mean, I picked up a chair, I almost pushed her out the window. I was like, one of us got to go, man, but I own the place. So you got to go, man. You know, today, you know, I hang around positive people. You know, they say we can't judge people, but I hear sometimes, you know, that people say stick with the winners. Well, to me, that's judging, you know. But I stick with the positive people. Have people in my network that, you know, that I want what they have. You know, I've been through this. Like I said, I had almost 20 years clean. And I went back, I had 19 years and 10 months. And I went back out, and my misery got refunded with interest. I never went to jail until I was 54 years old. I mean, positive pissing to a PO is not a good thing. You know, they say it's positive, you got to go to jail, buddy. You know, and, you know, I used to get out recovery houses. I tried mental health getting out of jail, and every time I used, I gave it my freedom. You know, it's the insanity of this disease. Okay, if you do this, you're gonna get that. You know, if I do this, you know, I'm gonna lose. You know, I'm going to jail. It took me 5 years, and by that time, they had a abscondence charge because I got my new leg on a Monday and ran away on a Friday because they had a warrant for my arrest, and the lawyer says, "You better turn yourself in." And I did 4 months later, and I couldn't even fucking walk. You know, that's true. Sure, I can't make shit like that up. You know, but my disease will, like I said, if I put it in me, I don't know what year, what month, you know, that I'm gonna stop. If I stop, you know, I saw something one time that it was a long time ago, and somehow I remembered it, but it's like a 38. It only holds 5 shells. Well, I'm 61 years old, and I'm on the last shell, and the gun's already cocked. You know, and I know the way I use, I got something from John one time. He was sharing, you know, our drug supply is contaminated. You know, it's not the same as it was in '75. You know, the drugs aren't the same. You don't know what you're getting. And that's, I mean, I was telling Steve when we were over here, I seen somebody, my buddy Cowboy, you know, he used to overdose like every month. And he sits there and he said, "I think I did too much." And he fucking just went out, and I had to ice him up and everything else. And it was terrible, man. That's no way, that's not getting high anymore. You know, it's depending on what you want to do. If you want what you had before you got here, you know, you're gonna get the same results. If you don't want what you had, you might want to try something different. You know, I know that my first thought's the wrong thought every time, so I have to run it by somebody. You know, I went to court the other day, a couple of weeks ago, and it was a civil thing, but the judge laid out this guy that was supposedly, it was a big ordeal, but you know, I was already to say something. You know, he rented a trail off of me, and I said, "Can I say something, Your Honor?" And he looked at me. He said, "Do you really want to?" And I said, "No, it's okay, I'm fine." You know, but I could see that sign in the back of the fucking judge's head, "David, don't do it. Don't do it, David." You know, and that's how I can tell I'm growing, because I was like, "No, I'm okay. I'll take it home." So, but you know, when y'all get out and think about it, you know, what you want to do? You want to get high? Go ahead and get high, because you can get the same results. You know, like me, it took me 5 years. I still carry my jailhouse ID to remind me, you know, that I don't want to go back. You know, I was arrested 9 times, 5 years, 7 violations. So it takes a lot. So with that, thank y'all for being here.
Thank you, David. I was just over there talking to Marshall, and I have an office in my home that I do my work out of, and I keep a lot of stuff I've had over the past. And one of the things I have is when I made parole up at Stanton Correctional Center, I got the letter, which was February 1991. And I had this, I was just showing Marshall. My wife always says, "Why do you hold on to that stuff?" This is when I got to Camp 13 Pocahontas over on Courthouse Road, February of 1991. And I keep it as a reminder. I keep it in my wallet to remind me that I don't want to come back here. I'm not that person I used to be anymore. I'm so thankful to God and to the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, John Shinholzer, Marshall, and I met in '85. John was the first person I ever heard speak and share his story at a place I was at called Willow Oaks in Cartersville, Virginia. And I said, I want what those guys have. They seem to have a certain peace, a certain serenity, a certain ease about them. And I'd like to have that, but I didn't know how to get it. Took many years of pain and suffering, many years of in and out of programs. But finally, I surrendered and got completely honest. Shared the hurt and the pain and the fear, the anxiety. Felt less than, never felt like I belonged. And that's terrible to go through life. I became somebody I wasn't to protect the person I am. If that makes sense to anybody. I'm a very kind, sensitive, loving person, but that person wasn't going to survive with the lifestyle that I have. It wasn't even going to survive my own household. But I'm so thankful today. I ride down the street sometimes and I say this, I have tears in my eyes because I'm so thankful and I'm so grateful to God to give me another chance. And I'm not that sorry individual I used to be. I was sorry. And I apologize to people. You know, you make amends to people. I made amends to a lot of people that I had hurt. And the biggest person I had to make amends to is myself. Because when my life got good, I was uncomfortable. So I would do stuff to sabotage that because I was comfortable in my own misery because I knew how to handle that. But when things were good, I didn't know how to act. That's a trap of the program. We were just talking about that a little while ago. I had to get used to, hey, got money in my pocket. I got a home, got a car, got a job. And a lot of that, and what that comes with is a lot of responsibility. And I got recovery today. But my first and foremost thought in the morning is when I get up is getting on my knees and thanking God for another day and then getting off my knees and going to do something about it to stay sober and clean and to help somebody else. That's what my life is every day. Kind of mundane, sometimes boring. But I tell you what, I'm not out there robbing, stealing, lying, cheating, doing all that. I'm not doing that anymore. That's why I ride down the street sometimes with tears in my eyes, because I've been set free. And I get 24 hours a day, each day. I have to work at this every day. And then I get what they call a daily reprieve. And I'm thankful for that. Let me bring Marshall back up for a few more minutes.
Yeah. We good. Everybody good? We got a little early today, but you know, y'all come back next week. I see a couple of faces, they gone. Where they at? They made parole?
One or two of them, one in the hospital, one in population area. About the whole two others.
Okay. I know this guy right here. Yeah. But anyway, thank y'all for being here, man. Yeah. Keep doing what you're doing. And some. You know what I'm saying? And some. That's what I tell my kids. You know what I'm saying? Because you know how they are. You know, hey, Dad, I done did all I can do. Yeah. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. You know what I'm saying? Hey, go to somebody else. You know, they can give you an idea. But anyway, thank y'all for being here. And 2 weeks. All right.